Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters video. Alright, let's go ahead and let's start a whole new series here. This one based on one of your past suggestions, one of the most recent suggestions in this video in fact. And the interesting thing was when I was looking at this info, I just kept remembering doing this. I remember doing a video with regards to how this creature looked, the nefarious, evil way that it acted, the safe ways that you can get away from this creature, all the characteristics of it. I mean, I just knew that I'd done something like this before, but when I was looking at all of my past videos for proof, interestingly enough, and I went back years on this, I could not find it. So I'm wondering, like, if I had my own Mandela moments, like I mentioned in one of my past videos, where you know you've done something, you know you've come across something that you've done in the past, but you just can't find proof of it afterwards. So it was pretty weird. Maybe I did it in combination with another video for just like a minute. That's the closest I can think of, but I can't find the proof anymore. But in any case, it has to do with this creature. You're looking at it now. This is probably one of the most evilest creatures out there. In fact, it's probably more known along the lines of a demon rather than, let's say, something in terms of a cryptid. This is absolutely something you do not want to come across out there in this world. And its name is this, the Nuckelavee. So let's go ahead and let's talk about all the information associated with this most evil creature. So what is this Nuckelavee? Well, it's a creature of folklore slash mythology, particularly for Orcadian folklore. It's been around for a long time, in fact, so much so that the recordings of it go back to about the 16th century to be as an example. So we're talking hundreds of years. If you want to know its very specific location, in case you ever wanted to hunt for this thing for whatever crazy reason, you have to go to a place, basically it's the sea. It's called the Seas of Orkney, which are located there towards the Northern Isles of Scotland. You're looking at some of the pictures of it now. It looks very beautiful, in fact, but this beauty is only, like the saying goes, skin deep, because here, this tranquility, this peacefulness, it apparently hides certain times of the year the true nature of this creature, of this Nuckelavee. And that's because this creature is dormant for most of the year, in part, it seems like, because of protection from someone else that's keeping it at bay. But certain times of the year, this Nuckelavee is able to come out, and when that happens, that's when it creates havoc throughout those parts of that location. First, let's talk about how it looks like. Clearly, very distinct look on it. You have here in this case a centaur, which is a merger of half man's body with the body of a horse. In this case, it's the upper part of a man's body, and its legs are essentially the horse's leg itself. It does have, though, these very long arms, which are described long enough to be able to touch the ground itself. It has a very large head, measuring in some cases about 3 feet, in other cases a regular sized head. Its horse is also part of its body, so it's considered to have 2 heads. In this case, the regular human head is the one that has 2 eyes that tend to emanate some kind of steam or some kind of, I don't know, some red flame that comes out of it. The horse's head, though, seems to have 1 eye, in some cases a giant eye as well. And it too has a red flame coming out of it as well. There's also the notion that this thing has some kind of I don't know if it's like a red, not a red flame, but something else that's pulsing out of it. It just emanates this evil that comes across a part of it, in fact, from its mouth, because its human head has been known to have a very, very wide mouth. It's been described, in fact, as wide as a whale, as one specific example. But clearly, the most distinct thing about this creature is the fact that it is skinless. It is completely without skin. You see the entire muscles throughout the body of itself, and then also of the horse it's tied into. It creates an instantly frightening visual response, because anytime you see something like that, it just looks so unnerving, so unnatural, that it already puts you on edge. And this also is coupled with the fact that there's these veins that you can see pulsing throughout its entire body. And if you wanted to add another factor to it, it's this, that it has black blood that comes across its veins. So these type of creatures, like straight out of the nightmares, you can see apparently the veins pulsating, you can see the blood coursing through yellow parts of its body. It has that steam that emanates from it, that red flame that comes out of, in this case, its sickly head or its sickly eyes or its mouth too. This is clear. This is something that would be perfect in the world of maybe even Silent Hill, but in this case, it's supposed to be a real world creature. Something, again, if you go to that location towards Scotland and you go to those seas of Orkney or the Orkney Islands, then that's where you come across this thing here. And its attitude absolutely matches its appearance. This is a creature that is not out to do good. Whenever it comes across the land, that's how it takes its appearance here, because apparently when it's in the sea, it takes on a completely different form. Maybe it's more normal form. The problem is nobody knows how it looks like out there in the sea, but once it comes on land, it takes on this very, very frightening visual image, and it goes on a killing spree. Apparently it just enjoys creating havoc. Anything it comes across, it basically is out there to do killing. It's known for killing fields of cattle, for example, just on a whim. Here you have something that's not killing for food, it's not killing for protection or trying to I guess create borders, nothing like that. No, it's just simply out there to just create havoc and create destruction. It has also been blamed for having stuff associated with plagues. Apparently its mouth, whatever is coming out from it, can dispel some kind of diseases, something like a plague, and when that happens, it just catches on. In fact, it's able to infect the soil, it's able to infect livestock, it's able to infect cattle as well. Just complete death surrounds this thing too. In fact, I think I was reading somewhere, wherever it moves and its breath happens to catch something near it, it just withers and dies. I mean, that's how crazy this thing is when it comes to how bad it is. It's supposed to be like some kind of toxic vapor that is just really, really bad stuff. But the interesting thing though is when it comes on land, it does so, but there's several ways to prevent it from causing harm. Number one, and this is more of a proactive measure, is as long as you don't create or do something in terms of burning seaweed in order to create kelp, then you're not going to necessarily get the wrath of this Nuckelavee, because apparently this makes it go crazy, just absolutely bonkers. If it's in any area where it smells the burning of seaweed, or in this case it notices the creation of kelp, then this is supposed to be just its trigger. Like, it absolutely goes into some fit of rage and it just goes on complete destruction. So I don't know why exactly, because it doesn't seem like it's tied something to it personally. Maybe it's just because the kelp or the seaweed comes from his home, in this case from the sea, but who knows. But this is absolutely a trigger object, so that's one proactive way to try to ensure you don't have any kind of wild rampage thereafter. But if you do come across it and there's nothing else you can do to stop it from heading at you, there's one way though to get to a safe place, if you could call it that, and that has to do with fresh water. And this was something else that I remember talking about in that past video involving this, but again I couldn't find proof of it. But yes, if you are in an area there and you're being pursued, or you know you're in some kind of danger from this Nuckelavee, all you have to do is just cross over a stream with fresh water. I don't know why, like fresh water does the trick, but considering this creature, it has like this aversion to it. It's almost like it's kryptonite. It cannot cross anything involving fresh water, let alone fresh water being hurled at it. It almost like it's like acidic to it. So whenever you do that, you are in a safe place and it can do nothing. When I was reading this information, I could just imagine it stampeding left and right in a fit, like something like it wants to cross that location, but it can't. But it so desperately wants to see your destruction, but it knows it can't do anything at the same time, so it leaves in frustration. That's what I was reading when I was hitting this information. It actually comes from a first-hand account of that location. Apparently there was an islander named Tomas. He was one of the first people, if not the first person, to confront or see this beast. In fact, he was someone there that he had to be corralled later on to try to describe it. That's how afraid he was of this Nuckelavee. He's the one that gave the first-hand account of his description, and most importantly, he gave the account of what happened when he crossed over, in this case, the freshwater. So that was it. That was one of the first instances in this case of this freshwater saving someone else's life. And by the way, also one other thing about this Nuckelavee, so mythical is its evil reign there that people aren't even supposed to say its name when they're around that area, let alone it having this presence of this Nuckelavee come forward afterwards. So when people say it, they usually say prayers thereafter to ensure that they don't have anything that would cause this Nuckelavee to come out after the fact. And then the thing that keeps it at bay, remember I was mentioning at the beginning that most of the time that location there seems to be tranquil. It looks very peaceful. Those Orkney Islands look very something like straight out of paradise. Apparently this is not done by accident. There's supposed to be something there, a mythical being called the Seemither, or the Myther of the Sea, that lives in that area. It's a female presence, in fact. And in fact, this thing, she confines this Nuckelavee to the ocean, almost like in a battle every single year, keeps it there at bay during the summer. But it's when you get into the winter storms that's in the winter area, or the winter times, that's when the Seemither no longer has that control, and then that's when the Nuckelavee comes out from the sea onto the land. So that was pretty interesting to read that, how every single year, according to the folklore there, the peaceful summer times, the beautiful idyllic scenery, all that stuff all comes because of this Seemither and her ability to keep this Nuckelavee at bay. Otherwise, though, if there's like an unusual dryness, like let's say there's in this case withering of crops that seems to be out of the ordinary, or there's a large amount of deaths associated with cattle that people cannot describe, that's the reasons why to this day the Nuckelavee is blamed for it. They think that somehow it's made its presence known on land, and when that happens, then it's pretty much blamed thereafter. But that's pretty much it. That's all the information associated with this malevolent creature, with this evil creature, just something bent out just 100% for destruction. Does anyone else have any more information? Anybody had gone to that area there in Scotland, maybe towards those seas, and heard about this? Especially if you go towards the parts where the land meets the sea itself. That's where you have a prime area of being able to catch, supposedly, this Nuckelavee in person. So if anyone has any more info, maybe you've heard more tales from some of the locals there, anybody happen to live or know family members that live there and know more info on this, please post those comments below. That'd be really, really great to hear some. Alright everybody, thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.